Good morning.
Morning.
How's everybody?
Wonderful.
Scott's got all his lights turned off.
Well, I'm trying out this new Zoom light here, and either I'm washed out like Casper the Friendly Ghost, or it looks like I'm in a cave. The lighting.
Do you have a ring light going on, Scott?
I have a ring light, but I still look like Casper. But when I put it on my camera and test it, it looks fine. I'll get it all figured out about the time we stop doing Zoom calls.
Yeah, speaking of which, I think this might be the last.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Andrew.
Yeah.
Point of curiosity. This is the first time that I've signed on to a Zoom meeting. It gave me both a written and a audible warning that I was joining a meeting that was being recorded and did I want to continue.
Yeah. When I started the recording, it actually gave me this meeting is being recorded. It's a new thing. I wonder if there have been legal complaints about people not knowing they've been recorded on Zoom.
Yeah, even though there's an indicator right up in the top left.
Right there it is.
I
guess they just don't want to get in trouble with wiretapping laws or whatever.
I guess. Did you all have the same notice when you signed on?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Then I was not hallucinating. Thank you. Boy, Scott, it's really good to see you all in the particular locations that you're in. And that's great news. Why don't we go ahead and call our meeting to order? And if we could, please let the minutes reflect that Michelle is holding Judge Covington's proxy, and Gina is holding Dr. Hubb's proxy. So with that, we will have completed the roll call. You have a copy of the minutes of our last meeting from 4/28. If there are any questions, if there are no questions or additions, I would entertain a motion if they be approved.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of our last meeting on April 28th, 2021.
Thank you, Gina.
A second.
And thank you, ma'am. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Scott, I love item 4 on your agenda. Please tell us, give us a status update.
Well, the move went pretty smoothly. We're pretty much settled in. I think we're in the phase where we've been here for a couple of weeks and we've lived with it, and we're kind of saying, I think that might work better over there. So, but otherwise, the move went very well. The movers were here on the moving day, or at the old space, at about 8:15, and by 1:30 they were leaving with 2 empty trucks the next day. So it went pretty smoothly. We've got our managed service provider here today working on a few little issues that we're trying to get resolved. But we are thrilled with the space. It's everything we knew it would be. We're very excited, and just can't say enough about it. We are still waiting on some of the final bills to come in. We've also got some large credits. As it turns out, Jessica is going to get her desk for half price because it showed up partially damaged, and they sent us a little repair kit, but we're going to get half of that money back. So that's a pretty big chunk. So all in all, very pleased, despite the last minute snafus with the security provider and some of their services. But the general contractor was great. We're happy with the facility, and we're just happy to be moved in and that it's done.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to coming out and taking a look, Scott. I'm very proud of the fact that we now have our revenue commission housed in an appropriate location. We did the best we could up until now, but this is where you needed to be. So I'm very happy for the staff and that has to work there, but it's appropriate for Georgetown and Scott County.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and we're very appreciative. And as always, none of it could have happened without the support of this Revenue Commission Board. And we appreciate it, and we are grateful for it every day we walk through the door.
Great. Okay, item 5 on the agenda is preliminary budget.
Everyone see the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the only thing that I have not put in here yet, you can see the yellow block here. This is our salaries and related expenses. One of the things we'll need to talk about today is if we're going to do a COLA raise. We did not do that this time last year when we passed the budget for obvious reasons, but we did do a COLA later in the year, I think maybe at our mid-year budget adjustment. So that's why these numbers have not changed. So that's a part of the discussion we'll have related to this. But as we do every year, what I've done is I've gone through and done a QuickBooks report of what we actually paid all of these vendors within the past fiscal year. And then my methodology is typically I'll go into the checks and see the last check that I wrote to that vendor to see if there have been any increases. So we've got some pluses and minuses here. I'll briefly go through them here. And again, on this budget here, as you probably noticed, there's a footnotes here with some more details of what the breakdown is on some of these line items. As far as our legal fees, is going to go down a little bit. That's because one of the accounts Temple Jewett is collecting for us paid in full. That's what the PIF means. So they paid off. So his amount moving forward will be significantly lowered. The amount of professional fees went up a little bit. That's because of our auditors increase in the cost of the audit goes up a little bit every year. And also I budgeted for our QuickBooks advisor. We kind of used her on more of an ad hoc basis, but moving forward, with QuickBooks, I'm going to put a little bit for her in that amount as well. Number 27 here, footnote 27, this is the temps that you had approved in prior meetings. One of these has not started yet. They may be starting next week. We do have a temp admin, but this will be somewhat offset by the fact that this amount will actually be lower because we do have one full-time employee, direct hire, who's no longer with us. So that person is not getting paid. And of course, we do have one person on leave, but they have lots of vacation time, so they're still getting paid. And feel free to stop me at any of these. I'm just, in the interest of time, I'm just going to try to go through them a little bit here. In our software licenses, we added Adobe Edit, which allows us to change our tax forms in real time. In the past, when we were printing forms, we had Georgetown Printing do that for us, and that's a significant savings to buy this software and do it ourselves, not to mention the quick speed with which we can do that. The telecommunications line item went down significantly. That's because we're dropping AT&T. For our phone service, we switched to a VoIP service. We did that actually back in January. Significant decrease in the postage because we're not mailing forms any longer. Here, the post office increased our box rental by $103. We added one copier, so the equipment rental went up a little bit. We added a third copier. This went down significantly, maintenance agreements, because we dropped High Tech Telecom. We had a little service contract with them on our own old phone system, so that's a drop there in that expense item. I did increase the printing costs a little bit here because we are going to be needing new business cards and letterhead, and when we'll also need to make a change on the letterhead when Dr. Hub's replacement is named. Books and subscriptions. Actually, this old number was wrong. The Thomson Reuters for Jessica's collection software, which has been an excellent tool. I think I had put that in wrong last year, the monthly amount, so I've corrected that. So that it's been the same since we've started, but I had the wrong number there, so that went up a little bit. We've increased here for dues for Jessica's Kentucky Bar Association and MAC dues. We've added that. News graphics subscription went up a little bit. Internet access fees, again, we're dropping AT&T and QX.net, our new provider, we're able to piggyback on something that Andrew had set up with them through the city of Georgetown. We're very appreciative of that. So our internet cost is zero. Computer equipment, we will be adding one new workstation, so I've budgeted for that. Our rent is down from the mid-year budget adjustment because we are no longer paying the planning commission rent, just paying the $2,000 a month to the water company. Of course, we will not have a relocation project this year. I did add back in the money that we had normally budgeted for travel and conference. This is primarily KLC, Kentucky League of Cities, and COLA. They both will be having in-person events in the fall. In fact, they're having an in-person. COLA is having a seminar today, but we're attending remotely on that. Our insurance here, our surety bond premium actually went down pretty significantly. That's a good thing. I've put a little money in here for staff development for CPE that Jessica may take. There's also something with the Association of Government Accountants, the Central Kentucky chapter has something I may take later this year or maybe early in 2022. Outside computer services, they pretty much the same. Under other expenses, this is just our janitorial service that we're using at the new larger space here. It's $379 a month, and that's 2 cleanings a week, Wednesdays and Fridays. So that's put in the budget. Our fleet lease stays the same. I did increase the cost of fuel because of the rising cost of gasoline. I plugged that in. We're already seeing that. And I've also bumped up a couple $100 our vehicle maintenance. The Highlander is a 2018, so it's now 3 years old. And our auto premium also went down in premium cost, and that's a good thing because that's clearly we don't, knock on wood, have accidents and don't file claims, so they should give us a break. So those are kind of the line items that have had some changes I wanted to point out to you. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. But at this point, the only thing I'm waiting on to present the final budget next month would be what decision the board wants to make on COLA increases if we're going to do those this year.
Scott, if I could respond first, and then Gina and Michelle can kind of respond for their organizations. From the city's perspective, we are doing cost of living raises for all of our staff at a minimum for this coming year. As has been well publicized, we're making a number of salary adjustments to better conform with the market. And that's affected a lot of our salaries in the city, but not all of them. So we are at a minimum granting in the budget that is before our council now a 3% COLA increase. And Michelle, I'm not sure what y'all are doing across the state.
The fiscal court is planning on giving a 2%.
School district is not giving one.
So we have a wide range of options.
All over the place.
Yeah, I was hoping there'd be a nice ring of consensus come through there, but that hope was completely dashed. But I do understand that, and just by way of explanation, this is not a typical budget year for the city. This is a very atypical year, particularly in terms of raises. We've spent, Andrew and Stacy and I have spent over 2 years looking at our finances and where we are and how we relate to the market. We've passed a couple of tax or fee increases that were intended to go toward raises that we had put before the council. So I want to acknowledge that ours is a very unusual year, and it's not a year that the council will likely see again in a very long time. So ours is an anomaly. Andrew, would you agree with that assessment?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Scott, I'm in, I think that a raise of, some sort of a COLA raise is reasonable. Whether it be the 2% that the county is given, that may be a more comfortable place, a more center line position. But I do think some COLA is reasonable.
Well, again, this is just a preliminary budget, so I mean, we could, take the next month and all three of the commissioners, you could, talk offline, I guess, on this, or we could just table it and revisit it next month. Because you've got, 95% of the budget already right here in front of you. This is the only question mark at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And frankly, I think I really enjoy the way numbers tell a story, and your budget with the explanation and the footnotes gives me a guide to what we expect for the entire year. So that's very helpful. I did have a question, Scott, on the fact that the surety bond cost dropped so much. Is that just because of experience or reduced exposure or both? Or why would a security bond decrease in cost so much?
I don't know. I am got to call into Lewis Wolf to get some more explanation on that. And it was also a surprise to me. We had to, per the lease with the water company, we had to increase our liability to $2 million due to the lease, and that was only $153 increase over what we were already paying on our business owner's insurance. So I've got some more questions. We can, obviously tweak that in the next 30 days before we meet again and get an answer on that. But I will get you an answer on that because I've got some questions about that as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And sure, then those who are here as proxies can refer back to the commissioners, and then we can all get our heads together. And I think it'd be appropriate to revisit that at our next meeting, Scott.
Okay.
Very good.
So do we make a motion to approve the preliminary budget as presented with the tabling of the COLA raises to move forward, or do we leave it as it is?
Andrew, do we need a motion for that, or can we just, it was just a preliminary budget anyway?
I mean, I think we got time to pass the budget. But I mean, the motion is to approve it as is. Absent that, I don't see any harm in that. You can always come back and revisit it. I mean, I think what they're doing is giving you a nod to the rest of your budget looks great.
Okay. All right. That's fine. And I'll get the answer on the surety bond and the other insurance question. And then in the interim, we can revisit the COLA increase issue next month.
Yeah. And I think the COLA is on the only real decision before the commission. The others just because we're curious about it.
Right.
Is that okay with you, Gina and Michelle?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Our surety bonds didn't go up either. I mean, or didn't go down either. We have them with the same company. So
Okay.
I will make that motion again to approve the preliminary budget as presented, tabling the COLA till next meeting.
Thank you.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion is approved. Thank you all. That's a great way to go forward with it. Scott, we have an audit engagement letter.
Yes. And this is pretty boilerplate. We do this every year. Miller, Mayer, Sullivan, and Stevens will do our audit again. Nothing really new here that I saw. It was attached to the email. It does require my signature and a member of the board. I think normally that's you, Mayor. With your permission, I'll just send this over with the next bank statement, and we'll just make it official from there.
Good for me. So does this need board commission approval?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the audit engagement letter for the upcoming audit with Miller, Mayer, Sullivan, and Stevens.
Thank you, Jana.
I'll second.
And second, Michelle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Go with the three-person commission. It gets kind of I know it feels awkward with the motions and seconds all the time. Okay, Scott, you've gotten some surplus auction update for us.
Yes, we have completed that with, you had authorized us to surplus some items. All of those items except one have been picked up, and apparently it's not going to be picked up. The buyer is way past his deadline to come get it, but he did pay, and we have deposited the check in the expense account. And kudos to Jessica for taking on that project and riding hard on it, seeing it through to completion. But the proverbial check is in the bank.
Isn't it nice to turn a bunch of useless stuff that's in your way into money in the bank account?
And things that we didn't have to move here.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to mention. Okay, Scott, inform us about House Bill 249. Okay,
so this was the language that I put in the body of the email last week with the other attachments. House Bill 249 was a very large bill. The governor did veto it. He had some, his explanation was he had some objections over the road funding section. But the General Assembly had the votes to override it, and they did. It is now law, and it takes effect June 29th. I know that's kind of an odd time, but JD Cheney with KLC did verify that. And here's what it says, is that notwithstanding any legal restrictions or limitations to contrary, a tax district as defined in KRS 67-750-10 may share a refund application and any related information that is submitted to it by an employee seeking a refund of any amount of tax withheld and paid by his or her employer to the tax district under KRS 67-750 to 67-795 with any other tax district that is referenced in the refund application or related information. So this is a pretty big deal, and this is going to be talked about at COLA this afternoon at the seminar, because in the past, you know, we cannot share any confidential information with another jurisdiction, anything specific, until this was passed. And JD also did indicate that this is a permanent change. So this will allow us, for example, and it became an issue because of all the remote working and a lot of the jurisdictions, and how JD and I started this conversation was he had a lot of mayors concerned about the remote working and how that was, they were anticipating seeing a lot of employee refunds, an increase in employee refunds. For our jurisdiction, it's not, I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal because the vast majority of our refunds are Toyota employees. The vast majority of those Toyota employees are engineers. And when they travel and get employee refunds, and they are substantial employee refunds because they spend a lot of time out of TMMK and they're high earners, they're not anywhere in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. They're in other states or in some cases in other countries working. So we have seen some, but I don't know that we're going to see, you know, depending on the geography of a specific jurisdiction or the makeup of their business, how diverse their business footprint is in their jurisdiction are going to, is going to be of great concern. You know, a lot of the Northern Kentucky mayors were really concerned about it. So we talked about this, we put it out there, and it passed. So this will allow us to share this information, the entire application, with another jurisdiction. So we kind of, some of us have created a little mini consortium here. I'm working with Lexington and Jessamine County tax administrators. Jessamine County also collects for City of Nicholasville. And we're going to kind of do a test and see if somebody says, well, I need a refund of $500 from Georgetown Revenue Commission because I spent X amount of time working in Lexington or working in Frankfort. Lexington specifically is one of the three. We're going to kind of test it and see how do we want to share that information, if it's worth it. If so, are we going to actually share the actual return, or are we just going to establish data points in a spreadsheet? Because what's going to happen is, Lexington is going to pursue that person. Now they just can't, if we give them a refund for $500, they just can't send a bill to that other employee for $500 because the tax rates vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. And like we have the $10,000 exemption and things of that nature. So, it's going to be a little bit more complicated for that. But this is all new ground for us. We've never been able to share this unless a specific jurisdiction had an exchange of information agreement with another jurisdiction. This is all new for us, where we're wide open to share. We can't share anything else but refund applications, employee refund applications. But it could be a very powerful tool, because when someone in the Commonwealth of Kentucky gets an employee refund from us or any other jurisdiction, if they're working in another jurisdiction that also imposes occupational license tax on payroll, it's not a windfall like a federal tax refund or a state tax refund. You owe that to somebody else. So now we're going to be able to share that. So it's going to be a pretty potentially an amazing tool for a lot of jurisdictions to use. So just wanted to share that with you, let you know that it did pass and it is law, and it is something we're going to be looking at in the coming months.
That's a game changer.
That's how we're viewing it at COLA, and that's why it's already on the seminar agenda for today, because there's a lot of people really excited about it, because we know we're missing revenue. To what degree is going to vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but it's clear just about everybody in this situation potentially has a chance of increasing their revenue.
I think that it'd be hard to know what the percentage is, but I would bet that a very high percentage of refunds are being treated like a windfall, and they are not being reported to the appropriate jurisdiction because the appropriate jurisdiction wouldn't have had a clue to start with.
That is absolutely correct. That is why it is such a big deal. We didn't have the tool to do it. We didn't have the statutory authority to do it, and now we do. So it's just a question of how we're going to do it and what we can do working together with other jurisdictions. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to have a lot of people from McCracken County, in that situation, but a lot of our neighboring jurisdictions, it's a possibility. So people will still get their refunds. It's not going to hold up the process at all. As long as they file the form, attach their W-2, their supervisor signs off on it, and the arithmetic is correct, we're going to send them their refund. But we're also going to, at some point, probably put a notice in there that says, oh, by the way, you indicated that you worked half the year in Lexington. Per House Bill 249, we have notified Lexington.
I had assumed that this would be a net loss, but your explanation leads me to understand that if that other side is pursued, it can have a completely different outcome. And I'm also glad to hear your expectation that you don't think we have a lot of exposure to this. I would have thought with Toyota, we would have had a high exposure to it, but you've already factored that in, correct?
Yes, I've seen it, and it's some employees, and they're mostly admin employees who could just go work from home. Obviously, you can't make a Camry and at your house in Frankfurt or Lexington, so it's a little bit different dynamic. I print and sign every one of these employee refund checks that goes out, so I have regular eyes on these, and I can tell you the vast majority of them are Toyota employees, and the vast majority of them are engineers, and it's not going to be applicable in this situation. I don't know if Ontario, Canada has a local tax, and I don't really care. I'm not going to be communicating with them.
Right.
And the closest Toyota manufacturing facility to here is, I believe, Princeton, Indiana. So it's kind of the same situation there. I mean, we could see some of it, but I think another thing to keep in mind too is with Andrew's data, with the financial situation in the city that he's presented, and even the initial gross receipts things that have come out, all of our growth that we've experienced in the past 10 years, fastest growing community in the Commonwealth, 60% of those people don't work here. They live here, but they work someplace else. So I think that's something to bake into the cake as well when you're looking at what's the impact going to be for us. We know 60% of these people work someplace else.
Yeah,
So if they're going to be working from home, they're going to be working from Georgetown or Scott County.
good point. Good point. Well, thank you for helping me understand that better. Michelle, Jeannie, you all have any questions?
Nope, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, Scott, have we already worn out general discussion?
No,
Oh.
actually, I've got the, wait a minute. Okay, so here's what this of course requires no board action, but this is just data that I share with the commissioners for comment and discussion. Of course, we've got the new Healthy at Work guidance posted here that Megan sent out. We've got the April tax collections information below. The KJRA reimbursement summary. This is the first one for the new Toyota fiscal year. You can see nothing's changed. It's still the reduced amount, the 120,000 per jurisdiction, with 10 going to Scott County United. I don't have the invoices yet, so this has not been paid, but we do have this summary here to show that they've started their new fiscal year. We've gone our 2 months where we didn't do any reimbursement, so we'll be starting that up again. So nothing new there, but I do like to share that with you every month.
Good. And Scott, just while you're on that page, to update this commission, the Economic Development Subcommittee of Scott County United that has the responsibility of managing this Toyota incentive refund. They've begun an active process of looking at a strategic plan of exactly how we will utilize those funds to the best benefit of the community. Also trying to plug the development of our strategy into the broader regional plan that Bluegrass Tamara is working on. Not Bluegrass Tamara, Commerce Lexington through its Bluegrass Alliance policy group. So there is movement being done on this. Judge and I are involved in that committee, so more to report on how these funds will be used will come shortly.
Good, that'll be interesting to watch. Okay, and then like we mentioned, the bank recon will be coming your way with the MMSS engagement letter. So let's go straight to the April collection stats. If you had a chance to look at these, they're pretty impressive. Overall, we're up 1.2 million or 73%. The city's up 522,000 or 73%. County's up just under 500,000, 76%, and the school board 262,000 or 64%. This is not surprising because remember, we did not have an April tax filing deadline last year. So when you're comparing to last year, that deadline did not happen. It was moved to July. It's funny, Jessica and I were having our weekly meeting and we kind of dawned on us that we've had 4 in this fiscal year that we're currently in. We've had 4 tax filing deadlines. We had the July 15th, which is what April was moved to last year, July 15th, 2020. Then we had the normal October extension filing deadline of October 15th in 2020. We just had the April 15th filing deadline for most taxpayers, for some taxpayers, I should say. And then we had the 32-day extension to May 17th, which just passed this month. So we've had 4 tax filing deadlines to contend with in one fiscal year. So the year over year collections are going to be pretty skewed. You know, you mentioned, Mayor, it's a budget unlike any other. This is kind of why, because of the disjointed nature of how the revenues have flowed. I also did a year over year aggregate collections at this same point last year in the fiscal year. We were at 34.5 million in collections. As of April 30th of this year, we're at 36.7. So we're up in total collections year over year, $2.2 million. And we've got 2 more months of collections to report. So definitely some big numbers this year. And again, it's because of how the tax filing deadlines have all been skewed and when people have filed, things of that nature.
Yeah, Scott, it'll be helpful as you watch this calendar and the fact that there have been so many filing deadlines and it skews year to year information. If you kind of let us know when that year to year calculation begins to make sense again,
Yeah,
Just as we evolve forward, as these deadlines catch up with one another and we get back to normal operations, eventually, year over year might make sense again. But
Yeah.
you're going to have to give us a heads up when we hit that point.
absolutely. Absolutely. Another interesting thing I looked at when I was looking at the year over year, we're also down in refunds. So we, at this time, the same time last year, we had 50 more refunds and about another $160,000 paid out. So currently the amount of money we paid out in refunds is $160,000 below this same period last year. And that's a total of 50 refunds. So not only are we seeing the increases in aggregate collection revenue, but the amount of money we're paying out in refunds is also lower. So I wanted to throw that into the mix. And then our new and closed businesses continues to explode. In the month of April, we had 206 new businesses registered with the Revenue Commission and 72 closed. So for the first 10 months of this the first 4 months of this calendar year, we're 110 new businesses average for the month. So we're averaging 110 new businesses and 41 closed businesses for the first 4 months of this year. And you can see the breakdown there, January, February, March, April. And then for where we were at this same time last year versus where we are this year, it's pretty astounding how many additional new businesses we have, and you can even see the number of closed businesses is lower as well. So it's always been a big number, but it continues to just grow and grow and grow.
Not that just got to bode well, doesn't it?
Yes.
To me, I've always thought this was kind of a distant early warning system. It gave us it portends other things in our economy.
Yes. And it also, I think, shows that some of the compliance efforts that we're engaging in are paying off as well. We're seeing a lot of people coming in, and I know because my office is near the front door where the customers come in, I got a real sense of what the traffic was during the May 17th filing deadline. And it's significant. I mean, people are coming in, they're getting registered, they're filing their returns. So I think we're starting to see dividends pay off with some of those additional compliance efforts, whether it's the planning and zoning or the administrative hold ordinance or that the city has passed, or any number of tools that we're using, the work that Jessica's doing. The word has got out and people are realizing I've got to get right with these folks or it's going to affect my business in other ways.
I think that is a big factor that I had failed to mention. I think that's only going to get stronger.
Yeah. And it also, once again, it proves that this, 10 years running now, for a decade now, we're the fastest growing community in the Commonwealth. Well, these numbers show that that's not just a bumper sticker, it's a fact. This is the reality of when we see those news reports and we read that in the newspaper or see it online. This is the tangible evidence that clearly that is true.
Good point.
So again, unless there's any other discussion on any of those numbers, that's all I really had in the general discussion, was just the review of those items that do not require any type of commissioner approval.
Okay, but helpful information. Thank you. Gina, do you have anything else for the good of the order this morning?
I'm just glad to see our numbers back up from last time on collections, not below. That was a very welcome sight to see.
Yes.
Yeah. Michelle, anything at the end?
No. Looks
All right.
good.
Well, thanks both to you all for being proxies today and letting us get this meeting under the belt. Scott, Jessica, it looks like we're together next on June 23rd. And Scott, I hope we're in a position where could we think about on June the 23rd, perhaps meeting in person in your new conference room?
We would love that.
What do you all think, Michelle, Gina?
I think that'd be great.
Sounds good. Yes.
Okay, then Scott, with that, why don't we have that? Why don't we just do our next meeting in person for the first time in a while? And we'll take a look at your new office.
That's great. Jessica and I'll be happy to give you the nickel tour.
All right, we'll take it. If there's nothing else to come before this meeting, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion, please.
Thank you, ma'am.
A second.
All right. Second, and we can vote with our mouses. See y'all